Man, when Dumbledore died last night on Game of Thrones. Oh, hey everyone. How's it going? Welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I hope you're all doing well. I missed all of you. And a big hello to everyone's joining us live on Behance this, I guess it's still morning. It's 11:30, right? Diana and Andy and Anna and Bruno, Gary, Kroll, Stacy, and everyone else who's joining us live this lovely morning, probably afternoon for many of you. I hope you're all doing well. Andy says I'm rude. I'm sorry. I'll try to be nicer. But yeah, I'm super excited to be back hosting the XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm going to talk all about the amazing things that, and yeah, before I begin, Jennifer just pointed out, I also tweeted it, there's an incident going on in Paris right now at the Notre Dame Cathedral. I was there many years ago. Beautiful place. Unfortunately, it looks like it's on fire. So, my thoughts go out to everyone in Paris right now. Hopefully everyone evacuated okay. But, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. But, it's another month. It's another Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, and I am super excited to be hosting one more time. And again, big good morning. Sam Anderson, one of our awesome XD designers, is in the chat. Kate and Zarab and everyone else. I'm probably mispronouncing many of your names, but so today's stream, we're kind of kicking things off. We're not unlocking a challenge just yet, but we're going to be designing some stuff just for fun, and I'll get into that in a moment. I'm also going to kind of explain to you what the XD Daily Challenge is if you are brand new, and if you are brand new to XD at a whole, you might pick up some tips and tricks from today's stream. So let me get away from my big face. Let me hop over to my screen, and this is where you're going to want to spend most of your time. Behance.net/daily creative challenge. And we're now running Photoshop daily creative challenges as well. We had one last week hosted by the awesome Voodoo Val, and I'm back this week. I pronounced your name right. Nice. I always get names wrong. So the Daily Creative Challenge is from April 15th to April 26th. We're going to be at the end of April soon. Wow. If you haven't pressed that big blue register button at the top yet, press the big blue register button at the top. That way you're notified through your Creative Cloud app when we do unlock new challenges. And every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to unlock a new challenge starting tomorrow. So how does this thing work? Well, every day you're going to receive a challenge. And again, at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to receive that challenge. And then at 11:30 a.m., usually it's 8:30, but that was early. So we're switching things up. We're trying a different time to see how this works. So at 11:30 a.m. every morning, I'm going to be live kicking off whatever that challenge is going to be. And then you're going to be sharing your work on Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. That way I can find it and I can showcase some of your awesome work every single day. And next Friday, when the challenge comes to an end, we're going to be showcasing a lot of this stuff. And then you have until April 29th to complete all the challenges. But as I've mentioned every single day for all the challenges we've been doing, this is really something that we host to help you build up your skills. Maybe you've never used Adobe XD before. It's a perfect opportunity to learn something new, build up a portfolio, and just really start to showcase some of your work. So if you don't get everything done by April 29th, it's totally fine. It's not a competition. There's no winners, although all of you are winners because you're learning new skills. So, take a few extra days to polish things up. And even after you've published it, you can always make some tweaks and republish it to Behance, and it'll all look great. You can watch a little video on what the challenge is, and you can grab XD for free. Who doesn't like that? And this is different. We're on Discord this time. And, traditionally we've been on Slack. And let me show you. Let me hop over to Slack. Here is Slack. And, there's 17,000 people in there. But the more people you get in Slack, the harder it becomes for various reasons, including some limitations on Slack's infrastructure and the application and their plans and things like that. So we're trying out Discord, which allows us to share, I think, an unlimited amount of files, which is great for posting work in there if you want to get feedback on your stuff. So here's Discord here. Boop. There we go. And Zaryab is asking if I'm going to design a feature. I am. I'm going to get into that in a second. So here's Discord, very similar to Slack actually, but there's a few benefits that we really like about Discord is that we can have additional channels that are read-only. So myself and some of the mentors and Adobe employees who are in there all the time are going to be posting some pro tips. And, there's a few different read-only sections for daily challenges, so we can really separate some of the announcements. We might have a resource section at one point, and also, as I mentioned, unlimited file sharing. So some of you may have noticed when we were using Slack, you kept getting hit with those messages that you don't have enough space. Well, you won't have to worry about that now. So hop in Discord, introduce yourself, ask for feedback, give feedback. If you have questions, you can do that there. And the boops are back. Indeed, they are. So this is where you're going to go for the challenges starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. The first challenge will be here. And in the last two challenges have been progressive. I know a lot of you love the progressive style. I do too, but we're going to switch things up just this time. We'll go back to progressive, but we're going to be doing individual challenges this time around. And they're going to be fun. They're not going to be... You'll have a lot of fun. Now, if you are brand new to Adobe XD, I do recommend going to letsxd.com, not only because I created this website and all the content, but it is a great resource for if you're just getting started, if you want to import your files into XD, if you want to learn some of the tools that makes XD, and if you want to just, create some cool stuff. But if you don't have a lot of time, I have this section called Snackables, which are just 1-minute videos that you can really, get a grasp for whatever feature you want to learn in a very short amount of time. And then when you do have time, there's some longer videos up at the top. And the upcoming update in May, it's going to be a big one. And Let's XD is going to be updated when those updates ship. And there's going to be some good content on there. So today what we're going to be doing, because we're not going to be tackling a challenge, I'm going to be doing my own little challenge. And I'm going to challenge you separately to also do this as well, because this is fun. So Talon Wadsworth and Sam Anderson, two great designers on the XD team, released this UI kit, and it's really for all of you because we've heard a lot of you want to design your own feature, see what it looks like in Adobe XD, and this is the UI kit, and we'll post it in. I'll post it in the chat right now. It's going through there. Well, it's pending. Okay, now it's going through. So there's the link in chat. You can grab this UI kit completely for free. And yeah, I'm hyped about the May update too. I've been working on my scripts, working on my videos. Ooh, it's going to be good. Also, follow Andrew Shorten on Twitter. He's got some sneaks coming up, and he's also posted some sneaks as well. So good stuff coming. And, they released this amazing UI kit. And I'm going to be jumping into this. We're going to be designing a feature live on air today in, about 20 minutes or so. So not a very intense feature, but, And he says, what are those colored bars on that? I don't know. There might be some sneaks within this UI kit that kind of hints at a few things coming up, not just in May, but throughout the year. And then share your designs, if you do take part in this, with Designing XD on Twitter. There's some really cool stuff on that people have been posting, like device frames and this radius ring tool. A lot of this stuff we're kind of thinking about or even working on. So yes, Sam says there might be some sneaks in that file. So there's some good stuff coming up. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to hop over to Adobe XD, and this is the Designing Your Own XD Feature UI Kit. I posted it in the chat. Sam Anderson is here. Talon might be sneaking around as well. And we're just going to dive into this. So we're not going to go super crazy because we only have about 20 minutes to tackle all of this. But I've heard from a lot of people that they're kind of interested in, in XD, here's XD here, you have two panels on the side. We have the Assets panel, and then we have the Layers panel. And currently, in order to switch between the two, you have to click on each one, right? There's Assets, there's Layers, and you can also use Command Y or Command Shift Y to get to Assets, Command Y to get to Layers. But it'd be kind of cool, I would love it if we had a split view. So we had, let's say, Layers on the top or Assets on the top, and then Layers on the bottom. So we're going to design kind of what that could look like in XD in about, hopefully, 20 minutes or so. And, I definitely encourage you, if you want, to grab this kit and design something yourself. So actually, in the Assets panel here, I have they provided with, I think this is Layers and this is Assets. So just to show you what this looks like, I'm going to drag the Assets panel out, and this is the Assets panel. It comes over as a symbol, and all the included elements are inside of this symbol, and maybe soon you might be able to resize symbols. You might be able to override certain things within symbols. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. You may just be excited at some point in the future. So we're going to design something like this. I'm not going to use this completely because I do want to show you how you can design something like that. So I'm going to just pop it over here just so I can see it. And right over here, we're going to start designing right inside of this kit. So I'm going to go into my layers panel, and I'm just going to start by grabbing my rectangle tool over to the left. And we have these cool smart guides. You can see them highlighted in blue. You can kind of see it right there. And let me know when things are lined up really nicely. I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom, move that out. That looks good about there. We can always play with the width a little bit later. And I'm going to change the color. I'm going to press the I key on my keyboard to grab my shortcut for the eyedropper and just click. Perfect. I don't need a border on this one. But you are noticing that if I hover over here, the edges are pretty straight, but this one down here at the bottom is a little bit curved. And there's two ways I can curve that edge down here. I can either go over here to my properties inspector, press on this button right here, and then it would be this one here. Let's go for 20 pixels. That's a little bit too much. Oh, I did 30. Let's try 20. That's not bad. Let's go for 10. That's pretty good. So 10 pixels looks nice, but if I wanted to just not worry about the properties inspector, I can hold down Alt or Option and then drag on the little circle inside to just curve that edge just by itself. Perfect. All right, so now that I have a panel created, great. That's going to be the, actually, let's go for the bottom panel. So this will be the bottom panel because we do want to split this into two, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to duplicate this, Command and Control D, and just move this up to the top. And I definitely don't want this panel, this edge rounded. So I'm going to drag it back down and have a little bit of a gap just like that, just so we have it split. Perfect. And what we're going to do, if we have time, we're going to use Auto Animate to actually show what an interaction could look like when you drag and resize that panel. So now we want to start putting little pieces inside of this panel. So we have, if you look at the assets panel right now, we have a title, we have some colors, we have some character styles and things like that. So we're going to kind of replicate what that could look like. And we're going to be using something like a repeat grid for that. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool. Let's zoom in here. Just drag a rectangle, holding down Shift to constrain it. I do want to round out the corners just a little bit. So I'm going to drag this in just like that. I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool. Boop, there we go. Don't need to worry about a border. And I may want several of these colors or several of these elements that represent colors throughout this assets panel. So I'm going to do a repeat grid right over here to the right, or I can do Command and Control R, and that'll create a repeat grid. We have these two new handles. I can simply drag them out and then adjust the spacing. I'll make them nice and close together. Let's go for 5 pixels. Whoops. There we go. We'll do, let's say, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. Great. And then maybe we'll do 5 down, just like that. Drag this up, also make it 5 pixels. Perfect. It's probably a little bit too big, but that's okay. We can always tweak it later on because it's a repeat grid. We can always, make things smaller and they'll all get smaller, which is great. So I'll pop that there, and we need a title for assets. So right above, I'm going to grab my rectangle tool one more time. You're noticing those smart guides are really helping me out a little bit. I'm going to make this nice and round. Again, eyedropper tool, no border. Perfect. So there we have the title. We have colors, and we'll make a smaller title for colors right here. Great. Alrighty, so things are looking good. We've got the assets, we've got colors. Now we need character styles. So I'll just copy this title, pop it right about there. You're noticing again, those smart guides and the smart padding are helping me out. Grab my rectangle tool, and this will be for character styles. Draw across like this. Round this out a little bit. This background will stay white, but I'm going to turn the border off. Great. Command and Control R for repeat grid, and I'll do, let's say, 3 going down. Perfect. All right, with that done, we also need some symbols. So again, I'm going to copy this, drag this down here, make sure everything lines up great. Grab my rectangle tool. Yeah, and as Sam is saying, the XD team uses Adobe XD to Design XD, and they use a very similar file to this, which is super cool. There we go. Great. Command and Control R to make a repeat grid. Wonderful. Probably needs to be a little bit bigger, so I'll just drag this up. Make sure my repeat grid is extended. Oh, I can't see anything. There we go. And I'll have 2 going down. Now we're coming into a problem, right? We have all these elements on our screen, but we want the panel to be split into half. So we need to create a mask right now. So let me hop over to my layers panel, and I'm going to just grab this panel in the background, duplicate it, and drag it up to the top of this stack. This will allow me to mask all these elements within it. So I'm going to select the mask at the top and all these elements here going down to the panel. And then under the object menu, I can also right click and then mask with, where are you? Where are you? No, it's not there. Object, mask with shape. On Windows, it is there. So now everything will basically be masked within that panel at the top. So now that we have our assets panel, we can now start working on our layers panel. So we're going to do basically the same thing here. We're going to have some titles. So I'm going to grab, let's say, this guy here and this one, copy them, just hop over here, paste them. Where'd they go? Paste. There they are. Drag this down here. Perfect. So now that we have our layers, we also have a title, but we probably don't need that. So we're going to delete this one. Oh, you know what? We can make this a little bit smaller because this will be, let's say this here is a symbol. So we'll have that. And then underneath it, we'll have a few additional elements. So we'll just drag this down. Maybe make this a little bit bigger. Make it a repeat grid. So now we have 2 layers there. Perfect. Make it 5 pixels. This is like Inception, using XD to design XD. It's very strange, but it's cool. So we'll have another layer here. Great. And we also need some titles. So let me actually fix this a little bit. Make this a little bit smaller. That'll be the symbol or the icon for the layer. And then we need some titles. Bam, just like that. We'll make the opacity a little bit darker. Perfect. And you know what? I can probably just duplicate this. I'll duplicate all of these. These will be separate layers, just like that. So now that we have layers, we can grab our repeat grid, add a few extra, nested symbols possibly. Great. So now that we have our layers panel, we're going to do the same thing with the mask. Even though, we don't have a lot of stuff going on down here, there might be a point where we do want to illustrate how many layers we can have within that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all this stuff. I'm going to grab my panel in the background, duplicate it. Let me hide this, duplicate that. Move this up here, duplicate, move it over here. And then we can mask it. Perfect. So this right here is now our layers panel. This one here is our assets. Bam. All right. So now we've basically designed, we have the assets panel on the top and we have the layers panel at the bottom. We want to do a few extra things. We want to get a little bit creative with this because one size doesn't always fit all. And if you've ever used Photoshop or Illustrator before, you can definitely resize panels. So I would love to see the ability to resize the panels within Adobe XD as well if you do have a stacked layers panel. So maybe right in between, there'll be a little bit of a handle. So let's grab the rectangle again. Drag a small little handle like this. I'm going to round it out. I'll make it, let's say, this color here. We'll give it a very slight border. And then drop the size maybe to 0.5. Perfect. Pop this in the middle of these panels. Let me make sure it's inside. Copy this. Make sure it's inside this symbol. And make sure it's in the middle of this panel. There we go. So now this will essentially act as a handle. Now to make sure we can see this, I'm actually going to make it blue. And I have the blue saved in my colors panel. Assets panel. That looks good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Maybe I'll make the border white. There we go. All right. So now we have this little panel. Obviously, it probably wouldn't look like this if it was actually implemented, but just so we can see what we're doing, I'm going to put it right there. Now we want to, kind of show off what it'll look like when it's resized. And because everything is masked and responsive resize is on, we can kind of just start moving things around. You'll notice that we can do that, but we obviously don't want it to look exactly like that. We want the mask to move with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab this entire symbol. Let me copy this, move it down here so we can kind of see what we're doing. And I'm going to ungroup the symbol because at the moment you can't override symbols. Might be coming in the future. So I'm going to do that. We have this. I'm going to make a new artboard just so I can put everything on it and I can animate this thing. Perfect. There we go. Let me make sure everything's looking good in my layers panel. And it is. Make sure all this stuff is grouped. Group. Call this XD. Perfect. All right, let me make the border or the background. I'll just make it match this color here so we can see it against the background. All right, so now how do we actually animate this thing? So I'm going to duplicate this artboard over to the right, Command and Control D, and let's start tweaking things around. So in this case, we essentially want the, let's say we want the assets panel to be a little bit longer so we can see some of the stuff at the bottom. I'm going to hop into the group, into my mask, and grab the panel in the background and also the mask. Because if I just grab the panel and drag this down, you're not going to be able to see anything because the mask wasn't changed as well. So I'm going to grab that and the mask and move these down, just like that. Let's move it over here, okay? Perfect. And then we want to do the same thing for the layers panel. We're going to grab the mask and the panel, move it down, and we also want to grab all the elements within it. Whoops, and move those down, just like that. Perfect. Grab the handle and move that, bam. All right, so now that we've basically just rearranged some of the elements, now we have to wire this up. And that's a cool thing I love about Auto Animate, is all you have to do is design your two states. You design what the before looks like, design what the after looks like, and you'll be able to animate. And we're gonna cover a lot of Auto Animate and animation tips and tricks during the 2 weeks of challenges. So pay attention. So I'm going to grab the handle right here. Let me actually move this down a little bit. So I've got my handle there. I'm going to go into prototype mode, and you're going to notice there's a little blue handle to the right. We're going to drag this all the way over to our second artboard. And you're essentially at this point telling XD that when either that little blue handle is tapped or dragged, something is going to happen. And in this case, we don't want tap, we actually want to be able to drag it. So I'm going to select drag. It's going to auto default to auto animate, and we're not going to worry too much about the easing because it doesn't really come into play too much with drag effects. And then I'll have the same thing link backwards, and it's going to remember all my properties. Perfect. All right. So now let's see this thing in action. I'm going to press play at the top. We've got our little preview window. It's a little bit small, but once I grab the blue handle and drag it down, you're noticing my panel now resizes. Now it may not be big enough, so what we're going to do is let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's go here, grab these two. We'll make this nice and big. Drag these elements downward so we can see them. Into the layers panel, grab the mask, drag that down. That looks good. Grab my handle. Whoops, it's a little bit too big. Drag that down a little bit more. Perfect. Great. Alrighty. So let's see this one more time and drag that down. And we now have a much longer assets panel at the top and layers panel at the bottom. And someone was asking, Kim was asking, this is fairly advanced, but hopefully make more sense after visiting the basic. Yes. So during the challenges this week, we're going to start off pretty basic and we're going to, progress to more advanced challenges throughout the week and throughout the next 2 weeks. So there'll definitely be a lot of basics and some advanced as well. And definitely check out letsxd.com for some more really, crash course. I usually do a crash course on XD during these welcome streams, but I want to switch it up a little bit because we have this really cool UI kit that Talon and Sam released. Samuel, I'm not, hopefully I'm not releasing any top secret stuff, but let's see one more time. Drag this down. I would love to see something like this in XD. Have the assets panel at the top, the layers panel at the bottom, and you can maybe swap them if you need to. But there you go. So that will just about do it for today's stream. Definitely head over to behance.net/daily creative challenge. Hit the big blue register button. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, new challenge, or first challenge, will be unlocked, and I'm going to be live at 11:30 to kick things off. It's going to be fun. So definitely join us in Discord, sign up for the challenges, and that'll do it for me. Also, if you want, grab that UI kit, design your own XD feature, share it with the hashtag DesigningXD, and we're going to be checking out some of that stuff. So thanks so much for joining me, everyone on stream. Andy and Dennis and Anthony and Sam and Samuel and everyone else, Kim. I'll see you all, not super bright and early, but 11:30 tomorrow morning, and it's going to be fun. So I'll see you all then. See you, everyone.